Don't turn that dial. If you do, you're going to miss a really, really, really good show, because our guest tonight is Maria Rodriguez. Really, she's hot, really, really hot. No, but she's also smart. So you're going to see somebody who's really an interesting candidate, thoughtful, and she's running for lieutenant governor of the state of Illinois. She's running on the ticket with Bill Brady, who's running for governor. They are, of course, both Republicans. She knows the issues. She's interesting. She's scintillating. Don't turn that dial, or you're going to miss a really, 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 really good show. You're watching Public Affairs. Berkowitz is my name, and politics is our game. And we will be doing lots of politics and public policy this evening, because we have as our guest Maria Rodriguez. She is running for lieutenant governor. She is running on the ticket, the Republican, or one of the four main candidates running for governor on the Republican primary, and she's running with Bill Brady. So it is the Brady-Rodriguez ticket, or maybe we should call it the Rodriguez-Brady ticket.
Brady-Rodriguez ticket.
Brady-Rodriguez ticket, okay? And so people, if we're taping the show on October 5th, and there's about a little bit more than 6 months left to the primary, right?
Right.
So things are starting to heat up. People say these elections start right after Labor Day. But they heat up now because you only got a month, because after you're into November, that's Thanksgiving, that's Christmas holidays, people are going to completely ignore what you're doing. So if I were you, I'd get really intense for the month of October, because you're going to lose them till January, and then in January things get cold and people don't come out. They stay cold in February and in March. So you're really, to run for governor, it's basically running in October. That is like the weirdest thing you've ever heard. So I'm just kidding, folks. It's really not true. But seriously, so we've got Bruce Rauner running. He has $700 million. He can't seem to afford getting a candidate for lieutenant governor. So he doesn't have somebody yet. And Kirk Dillard has Jill Tracy from downstate, Quincy. Right. Is that right?
My understanding.
Yeah, and she's a state rep, as I
Right.
said. Okay, and so downstate, upstate, we've got that geographic balance.
Right.
We've got the gender balance. Kirk, of course, is a male, for people who didn't realize that. And Jill, of course, is a female. Okay?
Right.
And then we've got Bill Brady, downstate, and then you're upstate from Long Grove, male, female, gender balance. And then we have Dan Rutherford running for state treasurer. Doesn't have gender balance, because he has Steve Kim, although he's reaching out. Republicans are saying they're reaching out to minorities, and he's an Asian, and he's upstate, whereas Dan Rutherford is downstate.
Correct.
And as I said, Rauner is upstate. We suspect he would get somebody downstate. Any speculation?
He has not announced his choice yet, so.
But he's not announced, but you're an insider. I'm like a little guy, and I don't know anything. You and Bill Brady and Dan Egler, you guys know everything, right? Pretty much.
I would not even speculate on that right now.
Okay, so you don't know who Bruce is going to be picking.
I don't.
Do you think he would pick a woman?
I don't know.
Who's that girl he was kissing on the lips in the Chicago Tribune? Did you see that show?
She's a wonderful volunteer.
Petty.
I know
Susan
her.
Petty?
Susan Petty's
Is she
really
a wonderful volunteer?
Oh, she's a great
So
woman.
Why would he kiss her on the lips?
They made something out of nothing. You know how they could do that?
Really? You mean the picture was deceptive? Did they take somebody else's lips and put them there? Or something?
No, I think it was a very exciting moment, and I don't think there's anything.
They both got so excited they kissed each other on the lips?
Stop it! Don't even. There are questions we need to talk about, right? That are serious questions. This is not one of them.
This could be it. It could come. No, Bruce, we're just kidding. We know it was just a playful something. I don't know what it was. Anyway,
it was nothing.
We're just kidding. So we do have important issues.
Yes.
And, let's just start with that. I mean, you're running for lieutenant governor.
Right.
The main thing people should know is a lot of people think it's not an important office, but it is, because you're one heartbeat away. Now, Bill Brady's in good health, so if he gets elected, we suspect he'd be there a long time, but you never know. He could step in front of a bus.
It is.
And I'm just saying, if that happened, I'm not wishing that, Bill, that happened, but if it happened, you would be governor. So really, in all seriousness, The question is, are you ready to be governor of the state of Illinois?
I think that is one question, and I am absolutely qualified and ready to be governor of Illinois. However, more important than that is at this point in Illinois, there are so many problems that I think that the lieutenant governor's office can be a very important office. I think we can make it a very substantial office. There has been, in fact, Bill Brady had authored legislation to abolish the office because it has not been used to
Bill Brady
he was
he had
suggesting
proposed legislation to abolish the office. Doesn't that give you pause that
No,
the guy
not
you're
at
running
all.
with wants to abolish the office he's now asked you to
Not
run
at
for?
all. Not at all, because I think
mean-
you should either abolish the office if the person in it is not using it to its
Saying
capacity.
Sheila Simon wasn't using it. She's the current lieutenant governor,
I know
right?
she's the current lieutenant governor. I'm talking about most lieutenant governors in the past have not perhaps made the most of that office.
Corinne Wood, she was
Corinne Wood
lieutenant
did a great
governor
job.
from 98 to 2002.
She did a great job.
So you know
I
Corinne.
said
Do
most.
you know Corinne?
I do. And I
And
think
she-
I
have you
think
seen
the
her
world of
lately?
her. I did. I saw her a couple weeks ago.
Could you tell her to give me a call? I haven't heard from her in a long time, seriously. I think the world of her, too.
She is
Could you-
outstanding.
could you ask
I'll
her
let
to-
her know. Yes.
Just pass it on. The people come on. She must have been on the show like 6 times, you see. When they need to show, they're running. And then, they do some other things and they forget Jeff Berkowitz. Don't you think that's sad? I mean, it's sad, don't you? Anyway, but seriously, she was lieutenant governor for
She
4
was.
years.
And she did a good job.
And Pat Quinn was lieutenant governor for what? For like,
He was.
he was like there for, how many years was it? He became 6 years, because didn't Rod get arrested in 2008, and Quinn
Yes.
stepped on to become governor in
Yes.
2008.
Which has happened a couple times in our
So
state.
you're saying Pat Quinn was not making full use of those 6 years?
I didn't say that. No, what I
But
said.
it was true, because Rod completely ignored him. People have tried to say, Quinn was a part of the administration. No, because he was completely ignored, right? I mean, somebody would say to Rod, "What do you think of Pat?" And he'd say, "Pat who?" I mean,
Well-
he was a complete non-entity.
I can't speak to what happened in the Blagojevich administration, but I can speak to the way that I am treated by Bill Brady. And it's a very respectful relationship. His wife is a strong woman, which I think speaks
Nancy.
to his, yes,
She's
his
a
ability.
beautiful woman, too.
She is. And
they've
so
got
he
3 wonderful kids.
and so
It's
he's
like,
respectful of
What
women.
do we call it? The Brady family, Brady Bunch.
He's like the Brady Bunch. Sure.
He doesn't like that when people say that. Just kidding.
No, but I have no doubt that this can be something that can be, I can make a meaningful difference with this office.
How?
In working together to bring jobs to Illinois, to make Illinois, to return us to the magnet for business and investment that we should be.
What would you know? I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't mean any disrespect, but somebody might say, if they've never met you,
Sure.
you've only been on the public scene statewide for about 2 weeks.
Yes,
When was it? September 17th when you were
I
nominated?
believe that was it, yes.
Or not nominated.
the announcement.
Announcement that you were running. So it's been a little bit more than 2 weeks. Somebody
Right.
might say, Maria, with all due respect, what do you know about job creation?
I will tell you that I was village president for 8 years in Long Grove. And
Long-run
so
population.
is 8,000,
Me-
which is a
median
tiny
median
town.
income is?
I can't remember what the median income is.
Carrie Lester said. Carrie, I quote Carrie every minute I can. She's Daily Herald, right?
She is.
You want to get to
Does
know
a great
Carrie.
job.
You
She
wanna
does a
get
great
to know
job.
Carrie. She said $186,000 in her article about you.
All right.
And then she pointed out, women are a little catty toward others. Did you find Carrie was a little catty because you're a woman, you think?
No.
Well, she pointed out that the median income for the state of Illinois is what, 56,000?
I don't think that's a relevant
So Long Grove
concern.
has roughly, she didn't say that, but if you do the math, it's more than 3 times as high. And so I guess the implication is, could you really know the people of Illinois in a broad cross-section if you've been village president of a highly affluent area like Long Grove?
I will tell you that all of the people, that may be the average income in Long Grove, but all of the people are not wealthy in Long Grove.
There's some poor people there.
More importantly, the way to govern in a small town is a microcosm of the state.
Okay.
The idea that you have to, it's nonpartisan. When you're village president of a small town, you're nonpartisan.
Right.
And so you really do have to be able to develop consensus with everyone at the table. All those that
And that's
step
what
up.
you did as village president.
And
for
I
8
found,
for 8 years you were
for
village
8
president.
years, and I found
There's
strength in myself.
6 other people there, trustees.
6 trustees, yes.
So you were the 7th, and you were the person to mold consensus.
Yes, and I did not have a vote. I only had
What
a
would you say-
tiebreaker vote.
So getting back to job creation, what would you know about job creation, and what do you think has to be done in the state of Illinois Because I think, according to Bill Daley, who ran for governor for about 5 minutes, no, for about 2 months, and then he dropped out. But Bill said that, and he's a Democrat, and he was critical of Quinn, and I think he said Illinois has the second highest unemployment rate in the country. Do you think that's right?
49. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Second highest unemployment.
Unemployment.
Like second worst in
the only
country.
state that lags behind us is Louisiana.
Okay, so.
But
So
they
that-
blame
so-
Katrina for their problems.
Louisiana. So what is
Right.
what do we blame in Illinois?
We have only ourselves to blame. And that, in some ways,
Meaning
is good
what?
news, meaning this is a man-made problem we have.
How do
in
we,
Illinois,
how is it a man-made problem?
Because
Who
we
is the
have-
man who made the problem?
well, it's the leadership at the top. We need stronger leadership. We have Mike Madigan has been in power there
Speaker of the Illinois
Speaker
House.
of the House for a very long time, as you know.
Yeah, he took a coffee break 95 to 96, other than more than 3 decades, right?
Right. And
And
so,
John Culleton's been there now for a
yes,
while.
he has.
8 years or so,
Yes,
something like that.
but you know
As
that
Senate President.
as Senate
So
President.
you have Senate President, Democrat, long time. You have Speaker of the Illinois House, Democrat, long time. You have Pat Quinn.
Pat Quinn chair is
Governor
the
now,
governor.
long
So you've got
time.
a supermajority
And
in
the
both
g-
legislative chambers,
Yeah.
and yet they can't find some solution to the pension reform. They can't. I mean, this speaks to the fact that we have to return the integrity of the governmental process to the state of Illinois. In essence, the power back to the people. Because right now,
Power to the people. I remember that.
You remember
from like
that?
the
Yes.
70s, yeah,
the reality is,
or 80s or something.
right now, no one party has all the answers. No one person has all the answers. We need someone who can govern, someone in office who will, again, develop consensus.
Okay, so are you just to get employment growing, to get the economy growing in Illinois?
Yes.
Tell me the 2 or 3 most important things that have to be done by the gubernatorial team.
We have to help small business in Illinois. We are, at this point, we have escalating economies in both Indiana and Wisconsin. Ours is failing, and yet we have every advantage in Illinois.
So number 1, help small business.
We have to become a better, right now it's just a hostile climate. We have to lower the taxes on business.
Lower the taxes. Anything
On
else?
business. And become we have to help small businesses, incentivize small businesses, and not ignore them the way that we have in the past. At
What
this
about
point,
big
we've
businesses, like attracting big business, like if there are major companies that could be attracted to Illinois, is that something the governor should
big
be involved
businesses.
in?
They have been incentivizing big business.
Have they?
But small business is really the backbone of our
So
economy.
you're saying they have been doing the right thing for big business, but for small business they haven't been.
They haven't
incentivizing
necessarily
them.
done the right thing for big business, but we are known as a hostile climate for all business.
All business.
Yes,
Because of the high tax rates?
because of a variety of things. But the high tax rate is a large part of it.
So, as people might remember, when Pat Quinn ran last time, he said, I'm going to raise your individual income tax. I'm
Right.
going to raise your corporate tax. So
Right.
people can't say he hid that. He said he ran on that.
Sure, yeah, and he did.
And he won. And he carried through with his promise. He
Right.
and the Democratic legislature, with complete opposition, I think, by the Republican Party in the state legislature, passed. The Republicans opposed it. The Democrats supported it. They raised the individual income tax to 5% from 3%, and they raised the corporate tax. I'm not sure what the amount was, but that went up as well. Both were supposed to sunset, I believe, in January of 2015.
Correct.
The individual income tax would come down, but not all the way down to 3.25, and the corporate tax would come down. So, one, do you support that sunsetting?
I support the sunsetting, yes.
Would you take it even further back to the original levels of 2010?
I think we have to look at a variety of possibilities. I do not believe, I know that Bill Brady's, one of his opponents has suggested increasing the gas tax. Another opponent has suggested we leave that alone, this tax increase that's,
The
do
gas
not.
tax. Wait, one opponent has who's the opponent who wants to
Kirk
increase the
Dillard
gas?
has suggested we increase the gas tax. I
And-
don't agree with that. I
And
do
the
not
other
agree
opponent
with,
says leave what alone?
Dan Rutherford has said perhaps we shouldn't leave the tax increase in place, do not.
He would say that? Okay,
that's
Dan,
what
come
I
on
understand.
and let's clarify that, because now we've got somebody saying, Dan, you want to keep taxes high, and that's Maria Rodriguez of the Brady-Rodriguez team. We say that because sometimes folks ask us where Dan is, and we have the same question because we've asked him, and apparently he's not interested in doing the show. So
I can't
we,
speak
in
for
a sec, we just have to compliment the young lady we have here, Maria Rodriguez, because she has come on the show quite easily. She's only been running for 2 weeks. Dan's been running forever, the last 40, Dan's been running his whole life, you know, seriously. So Dan, you should come on. This young lady's setting an example, and we hope that Jill Tracy, we've also inquired from the Dillard Tracy team, and they've said they're trying to, and she's downstate, so we assume that'll happen. If you're a Rutherford Kim supporter, we've inquired several times about Mr. Kim, and we've just get back that he can't. It's not sure whether he means forever. So I think, we don't endorse candidates here, but when you have somebody who's running for lieutenant governor and within 2 weeks says, okay, I'll do the show on public affairs, I think you should get some credit for that. Seriously.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I do appreciate that.
All right, so that having been said, you say your focus is on employment or decreasing unemployment, getting the economy going. You're talking about lowering taxes back to their old level. What else? As a person, because you're also small. You have experience running a small business. You and your husband, right?
I have worked in his businesses throughout the years on and off. So we
what
understand.
What kinds of businesses? Can you tell us a little bit about?
A couple of different businesses. He's an entrepreneur. We were Schlotzsky's.
Who is he? What's his name?
His name is Ray Rodriguez.
You've been married how many years?
33 years as
33
of
years.
yesterday, 2 days ago.
He would be. Is he partially Cuban?
His grandmother was born in Cuba,
Okay.
en route from northern Spain,
Okay.
and so, but he's Cuban and Polish, and
Cuban and
so, or
Polish. And you've
Spanish
been
and
married
Polish.
33 years.
33 years.
And how many kids?
3 children.
3 children. Any grandkids?
And a grandchild.
And a grandchild. Okay. So you're like a family values person. Would you say?
Definitely.
Definitely.
And this is the other piece of it. In Illinois, a lot of these small businesses are trying to stay in business. And when you've worked with your spouse like I have, and Bill Brady has this experience too, you get to know your employees. You know their families and so on.
He's been involved with his family, with his brothers, and perhaps his wife in running his businesses.
Right, but you also know that your employees, yeah.
And his employees.
And so when you have to lay off employees that are good workers because you have no other option, because the state is crushing your ability to do business in the state, it's a problem. It's an emotional problem.
So what kind of businesses? You started to say some of them. Just give our
A
viewers a
couple of
sense
different
of
businesses. We've also had an alpaca farm.
alpaca farm. Do you
Yes,
still have an alpaca farm?
We do.
What does that mean? Like you grow alpacas?
We raise alpacas.
Do you like grow sweaters or something?
No, we share the
You grow the
alpacas, and we
alpaca
sell.
and you sell that to people that make sweaters?
Is
What
actually
do they use
contributed
alpaca
to
for sweaters?
Yes,
Sweaters,
it's
yeah.
finer than cashmere. It's very nice.
It's very
And
nice.
it's sold
Did you
to
bring
a
me
co-op.
like a sample?
I did not.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Okay.
But back to the 2 issues that I think are most important and going to be the primary issues in this campaign will be, of course, job growth and moving ourselves back to being the magnet for, again, business and investment that we should be. Given our location in the middle of the country, we should never be at the bottom of the heap.
Do you think it's mostly taxes? Is it the corruption? Because
It's
people used to
definitely-
say there was like about a 20% corruption tax for Chicago, which in a sense is maybe 70% of the economy of Illinois.
Definitely.
So if there's a corruption tax in Chicago, that means in a sense there's a big corruption tax in Illinois.
And what fights corruption? The only thing that fights corruption is every person standing up and saying, you know what, I've had enough. That's the only thing that fights
Well,
it.
it also
Every
helps to have a
time,
U.S. attorney who fights corruption too.
Well, yes.
And who puts people in jail, as Patrick Fitzgerald did.
He did.
As he did 2 governors, a Republican governor,
did.
George Ryan,
yes,
and a Democratic governor, Rod Blagojevich.
Yes.
You got to can this to Pat. Pat's been the only governor who, has been around a while and doesn't look like he's going to be going to jail.
no, it doesn't look like he's going to jail.
You would give him that, right?
I would.
You'd be
I would.
kind of surprised to pick up the paper one day and say, Lieutenant Governor Pat Quinn arrested, right? You would be shocked. You would give him that. He seems.
All
Would you
right.
say he's a pretty ethical guy?
I don't know him, so I don't know that.
But
I would
you-
say that he has.
Doesn't appear like he's going to jail anytime soon.
I don't see any evidence that he's going to
Okay,
jail,
okay.
no. But the other piece that's important here is education. I think I've seen on your shows before the statistics for our children. The education in Illinois is just so wanting. And why is that?
Yeah. Why is that?
And what can we do about it?
What can we do about it?
We can sit down at the table and figure it out. Right now,
What would you recommend?
I'm
we only have a few minutes on each topic, so give me.
I'm a big
give
fan
me your
of
bishop.
charter schools.
Charter
I think
schools.
vouchers, the voucher program is very important. I think
Okay.
what it can do across the board for public school education as well as for the children that are put into the charter schools. would have a huge influence.
So especially in Chicago, I mean,
The
there are problems across
poorer
the
performing
state.
neighborhoods.
The poorer performing, there are some problems in Decatur and East St. Louis. East St. Louis, is that part of Illinois? I guess it is, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, but there's some low-income areas other than Chicago across the state of Illinois that tend to be the low-performing
Right.
sites for education. And you've pointed out charter schools, school vouchers give people a choice.
Parental choice.
And also that introduces competition, which will make the public schools better in their
does.
effort to compete with the private schools.
It's not just competition. When they offer a voucher to the student and that pulls those children out, the additional money that's paid by the state stays in the previous school. It raises the tide for all of the
So
children.
actually, because you're
So it
saying,
improves
unless
the
if the
schools.
voucher is not the full cost, because currently, a lot of people won't tell you this, but I will, and you could verify it, trust but verify. In the Chicago public schools, we spend
We
$15,000
do.
per kid per year. And
That's
we know
right.
that because the budget is roughly $6 billion. It may have gone down in the
That's
last
right.
few years to 5.3, 5.5, but if you divide even 5.5 billion by 400,000 students,
Exactly.
you're going to get something close to 15,000 per year,
Right.
maybe 14,000.
Right.
So we spend that per kid per year, but yet the vouchers that we talk about are often half that.
Exactly.
And so your point is if we take of that 15,000, 6,000 or 7,000, give that to the parent,
Exactly.
7,000
Remains in the
remains there to
school.
be spread around the other students. So you
Exactly.
actually have more to spend.
Who have more to spend, you have a smaller class size, but then if you can then address the size of the administration in the in the Chicago public schools, you can add even more, take more money
You
and
can
send
cut
it to
that, but it really, most of the costs are in the teachers and most of the opposition to the school choice. You may learn this if you haven't already. Most of the opposition to charter schools, to voucher schools, to any form of competition and choice and empowerment of parents, where do you think it comes from in Illinois? Where does that opposition come from?
It may come from the teachers' unions.
Teachers' unions, yeah,
And
that's the biggest factor.
again,
So you have to be willing to, and I know this is not popular and Bill may not want to say this, but you and Bill have to be willing to say, if the teachers' unions are going to oppose this kind of change, we'll take them on. Would you sign a pledge to do that?
I think we have to.
You're not against the teachers,
Promise.
but you
No,
are
but
against
you
are. If the teachers' unions are going to oppose empowering
I understand what
parents
you're
and kids, you have to take on the teachers' unions, or else they go down to Springfield and they say, we'll give money to any of these state reps or
I know
state
that.
senators
I know that.
who oppose charter schools.
I know that. I know that. But this
So
is
this is
all
what
the
you're
more
fighting
reason.
about.
I understand that, but all the more reason that you have
I just
to
want to get it
engage-
out. See, we were fooling around. We were being nice and lovey-dovey and all that. But getting stuff out on the table, so to speak.
Is what we need to do.
Yeah, and so the teachers' unions have to be taken. And you see, Bruce Rauner is liked by a lot of people for reasons. One thing is he's really strong on opposing and speaking out against the public sector unions.
I understand
Are
that.
you and Bill Brady going to be able to match that vocal opposition of Bruce Rauner?
I think that anyone running for this office should be pledged to speak out against any injustice that they see. And you can't, it's not enough, also not enough to say, we're going to throw all the unions out, or we're going to throw everybody out of Springfield, because that is not reality. But you do have
to take them on.
You do have to.
You have to oppose,
you
take
have
them, oppose their ideas if they're
You
the
do
wrong ideas.
have to be able to be in a strong conversation with them and make a difference. And I will tell you, at the local level,
You've done
in
that?
local government,
You've
I have done that.
Okay.
I have done that. And Bill Brady has the state legislative experience where he has done that. And I believe that we are a good complement to one another.
We've got about 10 minutes left, and we need to focus a little bit on pensions.
Okay.
Let me ask you, what would you do to reform state employee pensions?
I like what Bill Brady is talking about doing. There are a couple of legislators, he has been involved in the pension reform ideas and so on. I think we do have to ultimately go to a defined contribution type of a system. But the challenge is, the devil's in the details. How do you find a way to offer what's been promised to the workers? And then it's a multifaceted
If Bill were there
solution.
as governor and you were lieutenant governor this month, just if, okay.
Okay.
And your choice was, and you were working with this legislature the way it is, 71-40, 71 Democrats, 47 Republicans in the State House, 40 state senators who are Democratic, 19 Republicans in the state Senate. So you had those kinds of
Right.
margins. what would you and Bill do? What would your pension reform proposal look like? Give us the basics here in the next minute.
You know, I don't think I have enough specifics on that just yet, but I will tell you that...
Let me ask you specifically, would it involve increasing the retirement age or trying to for the state employees?
I think you have to discuss a variety of different solutions like that. I don't know if
But
that...
you're not sure you would favor this at this point?
I think we would have to look at...
Do you know what Bill's position is?
I do not know
Okay.
completely what Bill's position
What
is.
about employee contributions? Would you be in favor of increasing the employee contribution?
Quite likely. I think we have to look at those types of difficult
But the main
solutions.
thing is, I'm told, the main driver of these, we currently have $96 billion underfunding of the state
Yes.
employee pension, so
Yes.
major
I
problem.
thought it was even more than that.
Some
yeah.
could say more, some would say 200 billion, okay. Look, among friends, what's 100 billion, okay.
Really? In Illinois?
But the main driver, people say, is the COLAs, the cost of living
Correct,
adjustments, which statutorily now are 3%. So if the cost of living is 0 increase, these state employees still get a 3% increase by law.
Right.
Unless there's a change.
Right.
So that would seem to be a problem.
Yes.
It's not really a cost of living, it's just like a gift.
Right.
And it's compounded, which makes it even worse. So would you freeze those COLAs? Some have recommended you have to do that.
Some have recommended that, yeah.
Would you do that?
I think it may have to be part of the solution. I think, again, most importantly, you have to have the individuals around the table and really have the healthy debate. Right now,
so you're not going to, because I think.
I cannot today.
I mean, we applaud you for being here because, you know, we're Steve Kim's person, you know.
I agree.
Whereas Kirk Dillard's, we hope they'll be here soon. But I do think people, if you're going to run for lieutenant governor, they want to hear, it's like you're running for governor.
I understand that.
You got to be
understand
really.
that. And
we'll
2 weeks
give you a
into
pass
this,
for this time.
And I
but
look forward to coming back here
we need-
again.
Next time, we need to hear what specifically you would do. And I'd recommend, because I give unsolicited advice, if you're going to run and you're going to get votes, I think the voters want to hear specifically what you...
I understand
They
that.
don't want to hear get around the table, because we've been getting around the table for 4 years.
But they're really not getting around the table.
Well, they've been around the table.
No, they're really not.
There's a pension reform committee, and the
But
Democrats and
they are
Republicans.
ineffective.
Well, there you are. Okay. Social issues, because people, we only got about 5 minutes left. And some people think Bill Brady lost in 2010 when he was the Republican nominee because he didn't do as well as he should have upstate, and in particular with suburban women. Now, you're chosen as a woman, not completely, but that's a factor, and you're also upstate. So you're helping on both scores. Do you view yourself in that as reaching out to women, reaching out in particular to upstate suburban women on Bill's behalf? Or is that something like that guy, what's his name, Rich Miller on Capital Facts, he writes, did Rich get it all wrong? It's okay, you can say, Rich is a friend, he's like family. If he got it wrong, just tell Rich, okay?
I believe that we will work hard to attain the respect from every
You
one
don't
of our
have a particular
constituents.
focus on suburban women
I believe
upstate.
that I can speak to suburban women. I can speak to suburban men. I can speak to
But you're
all
pro-life.
constituents.
You're pro-life.
Yes.
And people say a lot of suburban women are pro-choice. Can you speak to them? That means you're pro-life. You would allow an abortion to save the life of the mother, right?
Personally, yes.
That would be your view.
But
if you had I know the law says otherwise, but is your personal view the same as Bill Brady's? Other than that exception, you would, if you had your way, you wouldn't allow an abortion for rape or incest or any other reason, only to save the life of the mother.
Right now,
That would be your preference, is that
right?
right?
Now, as lieutenant governor and governor, what we would most likely be voting on would be, right now, the biggest issue is strengthening safety regulations in abortion clinics. Right now,
And you would favor that?
I would champion that.
Women are going
A
to,
year
if they're going to
ago,
have an abortion, you're saying it should be safe.
it should be safe,
And it should
they
be regulated by the
choices should be
state.
informed.
Okay. We got to go on quickly because we got to touch on guns.